You know what time it is? It's the best show of the week. It is the prediction show with your boy, Tristyn Spann-Ford, and we're diving in today. What do you need to know about Rhode Island? Hopefully nothing, but we're going to talk and dive in today.
You are Locked On Golden Gophers, your daily podcast on the Minnesota Golden Gophers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, Gopher fans? You're listening to Locked On Golden Gophers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Tripped over it. Wow, not used to that one. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Kane Rob, host of the podcast, former collegiate football video coordinator and recruiting assistant here to talk Golden Gophers with you. And we've got our weekly co-host, Tristyn Spann-Ford. Know the name and be proud of it because we are grinding here on your Gophers predictions each and every week, even after a heartbreaker. Even after a tough one, the Gophers drop game 1 to North Carolina. Look, Tristyn, I need you to keep it real for the folks because you always see the positivity in this, but I was feeling a little grim after this one. I'm not going to lie. There were so many things that were just like, this feels like the same thing every single year, and I'm sick of it. But how are you feeling after a tough loss? What are you thinking after that game? What immediate feelings? Talk yourself down. How you doing?
I can't lie. That's a lot of the same emotions I was going through at the same time. I said, why is it like this? What's going on? Not again. It was just a lot of the same run. You know, it honestly, part of me felt like we were watching preseason. We were watching a damn near a high school football game at one point. But the best part about last week's game is that it was last week and we don't have to worry about it anymore. Because it's done. It's over with. No matter what, we don't have to worry about it anymore. And now I'm looking at the schedule now. And these next 2 weeks, what a great opportunity for us to be 2-1 going into Iowa. Like, we could really build some momentum, especially this week. I have a feeling this week is what a true week 0 game should have felt like.
I mean, hopefully, if it's not, there's going to be some heartache on this podcast. There's going to be some tough discussions on this podcast, but hopefully we don't have to go that way. So I want to stay with North Carolina just for a little bit here, but what was the biggest disappointment for you in that game? And then on the flip side, what was the biggest positive for you in that game?
I think it has to be that run game. The run game was disappointing. And I mean, a lot of it has to do with I feel like the play calling was an issue as well, but that the run game just wasn't what I expected to see. So I have to just say that it was tough to watch.
So then what was the biggest positive for you?
Biggest positive? I mean, there was not a lot of good takeaways. Biggest positive, Justin Wally's interception, that brought life. And that whole defensive series looked and felt good. After that moment, it was like, okay, good. Everything, jitters are flushed out. But that's what I'm going to chalk it up to. It's just pregame or, week 1 jitters.
Yeah. Hopefully that's it. But we're going to find out real quick here in week 2. My biggest disappointment was definitely the play calling and decision making in there, especially on the offensive side of things. Running the ball on 3rd and 9 in the goal line, running the ball on 2nd and 10 in the goal line. Like I'm just sick of it. Like I'm done. Like I'm to the point where I'm going to be like, I'll believe it when I see it. I know we're going to run here. And if I see it pass, maybe I will poop my pants at that moment because it is going to be unheard of, unforeseen, and you probably will catch the other team off guard because everyone is expecting a run at this point.
Every time. I think I said it last week. I was like, please, let's not run on 3rd and long every single time like clockwork. There's no football book in the world that a coach looks at and is like, 3rd and long, put it on the ground. Let's run this one.
Right.
Like, it's crazy.
Right. Even the Madden coaches out there know not to do that one. But on the flip side, my positive for the week was the final offensive drive, not the missed kick that ultimately lost the game. But we actually moved the ball in the quick passing game, which is something we've been asking for like 2 years. It's just like, let's go quick. Let's run hurry up. Let's get the ball out of his hands. Let him make a decision. And now you've got a veteran quarterback who can do that and get the reads out and make the defense hold true. And we didn't see it until the final, 3 minutes of the game? It's like, why didn't we make those adjustments earlier? But hopefully we can see that had success and carry it forward into future weeks.
Yeah, I definitely I feel you on that. That it felt like more of a fast pace. Like almost everyone was more comfortable running at a fast pace.
Right. Right. All right. So we're going to move over to Rhode Island week 2. Before we dive into the predictions, I've got some questions for you about Rhode Island. I think a lot of people need to know, and I feel like you're an expert in the topic of Rhode Island. But first of all, do you know what the Rhode Island team mascot is?
Something blue. They're blue. I know they're blue. 2 shades of blue. They got cool color scheme going. It's not bad.
You are right. Indeed, they are the Rhode Island Rams, just to let you
Obviously,
know.
the
So
Rams.
that's what they're going to be. But talking about that game, how many times do you think quarterback Max Bromser has played the Rhode Island Rams?
Ooh. Now that one, I'd say at least 5, correct?
Nope. So he got injured 1 year, so he had missed that one. And then the COVID year was canceled for FCS. So it's actually 3. He's played them 3 times, but they are in the same conference as New Hampshire. So if he would have been able to play and the COVID season didn't happen, you'd be right. He would have 5 seasons.
Okay.
But he has had 3 matchups against Rhode Island. Now, how many yards do you think collectively across those 3 games has Max Bromser had against Rhode Island in the pass yards? So how many in the 3 games combined has he had pass yards? Just wild guess.
I want to, if I'm being optimistic, I'd love for you to say 700-800.
993 pass yards against the Rhode Island Rams. He's literally 7 yards away from over 1,000 yards against this team in 3 games.
He owns them.
Yes, he owns them indeed. Now he is 2-1 in his record against them. The one loss was an overtime loss last year. And in that game, Max Bromser had 493 passing yards with 2 passing touchdowns. He led the team in rushing with like 40 rush yards and had a rushing touchdown on the Rhode Island Rams. He literally put the whole team on his back, but he ended up losing in overtime. So are you feeling hearing this information and knowing he has a Big Ten team around him playing this Rhode Island team?
I was already optimistic this week, and now I'm through the roof. Now that I know Max, he literally owns the Rams. Like, they might have a photo of him hanging in the locker room saying, do not let this man in here. Like,
for real. So that is why I'm to the point where I'm like, we better see Coach Fleck, Coach Harbaugh pass the rock. I don't care if this is a team you could put away 60-0. I want to see you pass the ball because we have not shown that we can do that yet. So hopefully Minnesota can go out there and throw for 300 plus yards like Max has done before, not once, but twice against this Rhode Island team. And hopefully we can get this offense going. But one thing I do want to talk about, and one thing that we have kind of mentioned here, is knowing PJ Fleck, knowing the staff, we're probably going to run the ball like 80 times and pass the ball like 15 times. And we're all going to be disappointed because, like I said, I am now to the mindset of I will believe it when I see it. So with that, how worried are you about the health of Darius Taylor? Do you think he'll be back soon? Do you think they hold him out till Iowa? Do you think he is the reason that this run game struggled a little bit? Or do you think Marcus Major can maybe find some more momentum this week? How are you feeling about the ground game, and how worried are you about Darius's injury?
I definitely I'm not worried about Darius's injury as of right now, but that also is based off the fact that we get 0 information on the injury. Don't know what it is, what it could be, but I'm not super worried about it. I can see, you rest in your best running back who, has all the potential in the world that are, sitting them and not foregoing the rest of the season and having something worse happen.
Right.
So I can understand that. So I'm not super concerned about it. I do think Marcus Major had a kind of, hey, welcome to the Big Ten moment. Not necessarily that he struggled with it, but it's a week 0 game, and I think that he'll get some momentum the further the season goes along. So I'm not really worried about the run game. I think it everything I saw in that game was just more of, it looked like a first week game. It looked like we haven't competed against an opponent yet. And that's what it looked like. It looked like a preseason football game. And so it wasn't anything that I was like, oh my God, this is going to be bad. This person looks bad. This person looks bad. I thought it was more of, this person looks like they just got hit in the mouth and they weren't quite ready to play full speed football yet.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a really good point. And that's why the NFL does preseason, not only to evaluate people who should make the 53-man squad, but also to shake off the rust because they want a profitable product once it hits
Mhm.
TV. And unfortunately, this was
Yeah.
not a profitable product for the Gophers in week one. But two final things we'll talk about before we dive into the predictions. The first one being, do you have any worries about Minnesota dropping this game to Rhode Island?
I don't. I know I should. I know I should. I know I should be ready to be hurt again, but I'm not. I do not have any worries. My only worry is that in 2 weeks I'm going to talk myself into competing against Michigan because of how badly I think we're going to beat Rhode Island this week. So
I'm with you.
that's my worry.
I'm with you. All right. So then if they do drop this game, I don't think they will. I'm in the same camp of I think this is a walk away win, like you snooze through it, but hopefully you can fix your offense through it and learn something from it. But if they do somehow lose this game, that means this season is going to be absolutely downright brutal, and somebody is going to get fired at the end of this year. Now, I don't necessarily believe it'll be PJ Fleck due to his buyout and things like that, but at minimum, offensive coordinators got to go. Something like that. Hopefully we don't have to talk about those things, but I just had to put it out there. Now, the final thing I will ask you, and you don't have to have one, but do you have any spicy takes for week 2 versus Rhode Island?
Spicy take. I don't. I know I'm going to talk myself into that. We're going to be the best team in the nation at the end of this game. That's what it's going to be. I really do. I feel like the defense is going to come out humming. They're going to be all pissed off about last week, and I'm going to be all the way back in.
All the way back in. All right, well, we're going to dive into the predictions. That's what's coming up next. You're definitely not going to want to miss these score predictions along with some others like players of the game and whatnot. That's coming up next. All right, first we got to talk about our friends over at LinkedIn because it's been a while, but I need to tell you that if you are a small business hiring, you're going to want to find quality professionals that are the right fit for your role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs because LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. And if you've ever listened to the show, you know if it's free, it's me. So you got to check it out. Now, LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals that you can't find anywhere else. And even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role. In any given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you are looking in the wrong place. And on top of that, 2.5 million small businesses are using LinkedIn for hiring. So why are you behind the 8 ball? You need to get in there and get on it today because LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make the process easier. And they even launched a feature that helps you write your job descriptions, making the process not only easier, but quicker and saving you time. So post about your job for free today at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege, LOCKEDON college if you need the spelling help. But today you can post about your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, Tristyn, we're diving in. We're going to the predictions. Now, I need to throw the banner up there because we have a winner after last week, and I took the dub. We got it done. I had 3 points to your 2 points. You know, it was a close one regardless. Now, we both missed on the 3 touchdowns. We thought the Gophers would score 3 touchdowns. They probably should have scored 3 touchdowns, but alas, we keep moving. Now, Cody Lindenberg did lead the Gophers in tackles. I won that one. You obviously won with Daniel Jackson leading the team in receiving yards. I got the first touchdown scored with Marcus Major and the defensive player of the game in Justin Wally. But you also got the over on J.J. Jones's receiving yards. So those were all of our points right there. Now, here, listen to this, Tristyn. Not for points, but we talked about our biggest worry in the game. You said your biggest worry was play calling inconsistency, and mine was defense and stopping the run. Well, guess what the Gophers didn't do? They didn't stop the run on defense, and they didn't have play calling consistency. Our worries were, in fact, correct. So, I mean, we kind of know what we're doing over here now. I'm not going to say we always are right because obviously we're not always right, but if you looked at our offensive player of the game, I had Max Bromser. Now that clearly did not happen. So again, I'll humble myself a little bit. We're not perfect, and we never will be, but hopefully you'll keep tapping in and enjoying these predictions.
It was week 0 for podcasters too. We're still getting into it.
Right. All right, so we're diving in with a new question of how many passing touchdowns did the Gophers offense score this week? Not total touchdowns, which we said 3 last week, and we're wrong. How many passing touchdowns do the Gophers offense score? And I wouldn't be shocked if you said 0. I wouldn't be.
It's tough because I right away in my brain, first of all, I think we're going to score 4 or 5 touchdowns this week. So I'm going to say 2 of them are passing touchdowns, and it's going to be awesome.
All right. So in my head, realistic Kane was like, look, it's going to be like 1, maybe 2 if we're lucky. Kane, who's like, look, the Gophers are going to make sense, and they're going to put it together and actually attack in the passing game like you really want them to do, would say 3. So I'm going to lock in 3, and I know I'm going to hate myself for it, and I know I'm going to be sad about it, and I know it's going to end up at 1 or 0, and I'm just going to really look back on this and be like, bro, you said believe it when you see it, but you didn't do that. But we're going to lock it in like that. So now we're going to go back to a familiar question. Who leads the team in tackles? Who do you got for me on that one?
Ooh. Well, then this week, oh, man. Oh, I want to take Cody Lindenberg so bad, but I know that he could do it back-to-back. Nope, give me Baranowski.
Dang, I literally just typed him out for myself, Maverick Baranowski, but you went and snagged him from me. So Maverick Baranowski is leading the charge for Trist. I think it's got to be someone in the linebackers or the D line, because I just don't. I mean, this team likes to pass the ball, right? And they're going to need to pass the ball. I'm talking myself into it. I'm going to do a cornerback. I'm going to do Jack Henderson. I think that him being kind of in the in-between, maybe he's playing in the run fits, but also this team's going to have to pass because they're going to be down like 80-0. So they're going to have to pass the ball. And so I'm going Jack Henderson.
Okay.
All right. Here's a new question. Here's an interesting question. It was too easy to say who leads the team in receiving yards because Daniel Jackson is always going to be one of our picks. So I moved it to the next man up. Who is going to be second on the team in receiving yards? And the tiebreaker is how many yards do they have? So not only do you have to pick who's second, you have to take a shot at how many passing yards or receiving yards they have.
Okay, I think it's going to be a big week. Give me Elijah Spencer with 66 receiving yards.
All right, you ready for this curveball?
I'm ready.
I'm just debating in my head. This is going to be the.
I know, it's kind of tricky because you don't you immediately go to like some ridiculous number. You're like, come on, bring it back to earth.
No, I know what I'm doing, and I know it's going to be wrong, but I'm going for it anyway. I'm going to go Jordan Newman is going to be second on the team in receiving yards, and I'm putting 55. Now, that doesn't sound very promising for a team that should be passing a lot unless Daniel Jackson has like 150 by himself, because right now we're saying the second receiver on the team is only going to have about 50 or 60 yards, which doesn't promise a lot of passing. But then you go back to your realistic self and you're like, PJ Fleck doesn't like to pass the ball. He's going to run a million times anyway. This could be real. So I'm going to lock in the running back being second on the team in reception or receiving yards with 55. Now the GOAT question, who scores the first touchdown? I'm going to let you take it first. 2 picks each. Who's your first pick?
Okay. Obviously, Darius Taylor does play. Are we putting him in then?
It's the risk. It's the risk.
It's just the risk. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
Big thing here.
I want Marcus Major then.
All right. I want Daniel Jackson then.
Okay.
Back to you.
Oh, we're picking 2. I forgot. Give me Max rushing touchdown. I think I picked those exact 2 people last week, but
nope, I had Marcus last time and he got me the dub. So you
you're right.
Though, and he got the second touchdown. So you were close, but no cigar on that one. I'm going to take my second one. I'm going to take Elijah Spencer. I'm going to lock him in. Hopefully we have a passing touchdown in that first drive and all is well. All right, the next one's going to sting a little bit after last week, but how many made field goals for Minnesota in this game? Bounce back week for Dragon, not a ton of field goal opportunities for Dragon. What are you feeling?
If I could say all of them, I'd say all of them. But obviously, we need a number. I'm gonna say, in a perfect world, we score touchdowns. I'm gonna say 2. I'm gonna say 2.
All right, you say 2. I'm going to say 1, and it ain't fun. But I think overall 1, I think they're going to go for touchdowns. I think they might get risky a little bit here and there if it's like 4th and 2 or something like that. Or PJ Fleck could do the complete opposite and be like, look, we trust our kicker. Here we go. We're kicking 5 field goals in this game, which isn't fun for Gophers fans. But at the same time, if he makes them all, I'll take it. So
I was about to say, I trust him. I trust him still. He's fine. He's fine.
Right. All right. We're going to fly through these last 3. First, offensive player of the game. Who do you got as your offensive player of the game in this one?
Max. It's Max.
All right, for my offensive player of the game, I am going to lock in Daniel Jackson. I think he's going to have a big day. Hopefully the Gophers are passing the ball around. And like we just said, we said our secondary receiving option was going to have 50 or 60. That means Daniel Jackson, ball out. Go get 180. Go get make up for last game's 900 and get at least 150 so you have back-to-back 100-yard games in a sense. Yep. Let's go Daniel Jackson. On the flip, I'll kick it off for defensive player of the game, and I am going with Jaw Joyner. I was going to say Anthony Smith there. I'm not going to lie to you, but that just feels too bold right now. I'm going to go easy, simple. I think Jaw Joyner balls out, gets at least 2 sacks in this one.
I kind of like Justin Wally this week again. He had 1 pick last week. I kind of like it.
All right, now the big question, final score. What do you got for your score prediction? I got mine jotted down, so if you're still thinking about it, I can jump in first, but you lead the way. Let me know what you're thinking.
You go first because in my brain I have us scoring way too many points, and I just don't.
You want to know if I'm going to make you feel a little bit more comfortable?
Yeah.
All right. So when the Gophers played their last FCS opponent, it was Western Illinois in 2022. We were doing predictions at that point in time. We were nowhere near what it was. But I am going to say, so that game, by the way, I didn't say the score. It might help if I say that. Western Illinois, we won 63-10. Yes. This Rhode Island team is better than that Western Illinois team. That Western Illinois team was coming off of like a 1 or a 2-win season. This Rhode Island team has won more games than it's lost in the past 3 seasons. They've had a winning record in the past 3 seasons. So better team. So I brought the points down a little bit. I've got Minnesota 49, Rhode Island 10.
I have 2 scores written here, and one of them is a point off of what you have. Give me, I want to go 52-10 then. I'll just go with that's the first one I wrote down without even thinking.
All right, we're in the same ballpark. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, if we get the lower, I get the point. If we get the higher, you get the point. So it's perfect.
Exactly. It's close, but
we'll find out. Hopefully we're not on the flip of that, and it's like Rhode Island 49, Minnesota 10. Otherwise, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna go dig a hole. I'm gonna throw myself in it, and we're just gonna stop doing this podcast. So
we're on the road to delusional. We're gonna beat Michigan at Michigan. I'm telling you, that's what we're building up to right now.
I don't know if I can get there, but you know what? Hopefully your positivity can pick up my negativity, but we're going to move on to the final couple things, over unders, and then a couple questions like last week to close out today's show. That is what is coming up next. But first, let me take this banner off. Thank you for that. And then we're going to dive in and talk with a couple of our friends. All right. So look, I got to talk to you about friends of the show, probably my favorite friends of the show in my humble opinion, and that is Gametime. They're the best ticketing app out there in my estimation. And you know what? Gametime has a new feature as well for those of you who are used to it. And you're like, yeah, Kane, I'm with you. I'm locked in. I swear by Gametime. I'm in there like swimwear. Look, Gametime has a new feature called Gametime Picks. And that makes it easier to get tickets for your favorite live events, even easier. Gametime Picks filters out the fluff. It filters out all the extra stuff, and it shows you only the incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste your time searching through the thousands of ticket offers that they have. Now, on top of that, you can check it out because they have the super deal. They also have seat views before you buy, and they have curated deals to make it easier to find the best price on great seats. Look, Gametime has you covered in finding great seats, but they also have you covered on the lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, and job loss protection. So look, you can get your tickets way in advance. And if something unexpected happens, they've got you covered. You don't have to stress about it. They have one of the best, most flexible customer service policies in the ticketing industry. So overall, you're going to want to take advantage of that. On top of that, they have the lowest price guarantee, like I said. So if you find tickets that are lower and are similar or the same seats, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. So what are you waiting for? Give Gametime a try, and you can go and download the Gametime app today, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. You can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Terms apply. Again, just create an account, download the app Gametime, and then spell out Locked On College. That's LOCKEDON College for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right. Gophers fans, we're wrapping this one up real quick. Over unders. Now, if you go on to Prize Picks, if you go on to Underdog or any of those like fun daily fantasy sites, you can usually find over unders, but you can't for the Gophers this week because they are playing an FCS opponent and they usually don't throw those ones out there. So your boy had to make up some of his own. So we're going to go with Max Bromser, the over under for passing yards. I've got the line set at 299.5. So do you think he goes 300 or higher, or do you think he goes under at 299 or less?
No, I would have said under before you told me that this man is the
that
Rams.
He owns this team.
He dominates this team. So I'm gonna go over.
I'm going to say under, and it's not by Max Bromser's fault. It's by this Gophers offensive coaching staff that I just know deep down is going to run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. We'll throw a little bit here and there, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. So hopefully they prove me wrong. Hopefully we are looking at Max Bromser bringing his children, the Rhode Island Rams, to the daycare center after this game is over.
Yep.
But you know what? I'm going to take the under on 299.5. Now flipping it to Rhode Island and talking about this Gophers defense. The Rhode Island total offensive yardage number I have is 314.5 yards total. What are you thinking on that one? Over or under on Rhode Island's offense having 314.5? So 315 and higher is the over, 314 and lower is the under.
Oh, I'm setting myself up to be hurt here, but under. I just, if this isn't a blowout, I'm gonna be devastated. It's gonna be a tough Saturday afternoon for Tristyn.
I'm also going to take the under. I think this Gophers defense is good. Rhode Island could barely run on another FCS team in their week 1 matchup. So I think running on this Gophers team is going to be a challenge, which is crazy because the run defense was the weaker of the two facets of defense this past week for the Gophers. And the Gophers pass defense is 18th in the country right now. I think they're going to improve on that number because of this Rhode Island game. So I'm going to take the under as well. Gophers turnovers in this one. I set the line at 2.5 turnovers. So 3 is the over, 3+, and 2 and less is under. What do you got?
We'll go under. That's only because I do think it's going to be 2, exactly 2.
I'm going to take the over. I think that the Gophers are going to get wild on this defense, and maybe that's some of the scoring, and that's what helps gets us to that 49 or 52 or what have you. So I'm going to take the over on the turnovers. I think it's a big week for the defense. Now, the final 2 over-unders, the first one, Daniel Jackson, over or under 99.5 receiving yards. So basically, do you think he has a 100-yard day or less?
Yes, over. It's all-time day this weekend.
We're both going over because obviously I picked him as my player of the game, so I hope he goes over on that one. All right, and then finally, I didn't put a running back because we don't know if Darius is playing. We don't know if it's Marcus Major. We don't know if PJ Fleck throws a curveball and it's Jordan Newman or C.A. Bangura gets to touch the football. But the Gophers' leading running back in this game, over or under 119.5 rushing yards. So 120 is the over, 120 plus is the over, 119 or less is the under.
I'm going to go over. I'm going to just stick with my gut. I'm over.
I am also going to go to the over. So there's not a lot of wiggle room for us to get the dub this week. It's going to come down to a matter of inches in this one. But finally, we're going to answer those questions that we answered last week. 3 questions in total. The first one being, what is your biggest worry for this game?
Obviously, my biggest worry is losing. It's very simple. I know like there's technical things, but if there's any loss at all, there's going to, like you said, there's going to be questions that have to be answered. So it's just losing.
I'm not with you on that one. I don't think the Gophers are losing this game. If they lose this game, I might have to shut this podcast down. Like, out of respect for the fans, out of respect for myself. Like, if we lose this game, look, I'm not even saying it to be funny. Like, I just don't know how I'm going to carry on with this bad boy. So, overall, my biggest worry is that the Gophers just play it safe. They run. We don't learn anything about the passing game. We don't help Max Bromser get confidence. We don't help figure out who the wide receiver 2 is. There's so much that needs to happen with this passing game before we get to Iowa week, before we get to Michigan week, before we get to USC week. We're going to get to a gauntlet of 3 games in a row after these 2, and we need to know what happens with this pass game, but also the chemistry building between this team. So if they just run, I'm going to be worried for the long-term success of this Gophers team. All right, we're going to skip the what gives you confidence in this game. I think both of us could say the opponent tier gives us confidence. I think both of us say that we know we could run if we really needed to in this game. So the final thing I'm going to say is, who will be the unsung hero of this game? Not necessarily the game winner, not necessarily, just someone who has a big game, an unexpected game, or what have you. Who do you got in this one for your unsung hero?
An unexpected game. I mean, it's tough, especially with this one, just because I think everyone's going to play really well. I think that everyone's going to be very motivated to forget about last week and kind of flush it, and they're going to come out firing. Give me, oh man, I want to say Max, because I think he's going to have such a big game. It's not really like an exciting pick because unsung hero, but I think he's going to come out and really give the fan base confidence too, and show some stuff that he didn't necessarily get to show last week. So I guess if I had to pick a hero, I think it's going to be Max.
All right, so my internal debate is either thinking that Max Bromser gets a really high amount of yardage, but thinking of like, okay, our secondary weapon only has like 50 or 60 yards. Maybe that means we have like 6 different guys that have 40 yards receiving and Daniel Jackson who goes ballistic. In that case, I think my unsung hero would want to be a younger wide receiver that we didn't expect to make like a touchdown grab or something like that. So I was leaning that way for a second, but I'm going to flip it. I'm going to go to the defense. I'm going to go defensive back because this Rhode Island team likes to pass the ball. And I am going to take a shot at my guy. I'm going to go with the starter. I was going to go with Zaquan. I'm a big Zaquan Bryant fan. I think he was on the verge of a pick 6 last week, but he just dropped the ball. I think he could have a big one, but I'm going to go with Ethan Robinson. He got his feet wet. He was the starter on the team, and I think he's going to come up with one of those big turnovers that I said I think the Gophers get 3. I think Ethan Robinson's going to have one of them this week. So he's my unsung hero. Any final thoughts for the people in this Rhode Island matchup?
No, I just think show up, get your TV on. Let's watch. Let's have a true week 0 game. Like, this is a good week 1 opponent. Let's get our confidence up. Don't quit yet. We're fine.
I'm going to give the people something they need to know. I'm going to give the people something that if they're attending this game, it will make them feel better regardless. And that is, go over to section 145, check out the Lotus stand and get the pho burrito. The pho burrito. I had it at the media tasting. Man, I'm telling you right now, it slaps. It's so good. Like, if you need to pick me up and the Gophers are losing, go get a burrito. If you need to celebrate in the winning of a game, go get a burrito. It was fire. And Tristyn, when you go check out your next game, you're gonna have to go give it a try because I'm telling you,
we just had pho for dinner last night.
There we go. Now imagine it in burrito form.
It sounds incredible. It's
great. It's great. All right, that's going to do it for us. This is Kane Rob signing off. Tristyn Spann-Ford, thank you for joining us. We will see you again next week. Until next time, row the boat, Sky Umago Gophers, as always. And please don't forget to hit subscribe.